And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It's Tuesday, February 10th, 2026. And as always, serious talk on everything that affects you, the markets, the economy, your job, your industry, your city, the Morlocks in D.C. as they get worse by the day. How do we know? 38, 39 trillion of debt, 1.2 trillion going towards interest. And yet you like them. You have your favorites. I don't. And of course, if you do not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com. We'll also post on our X feed. If you don't follow us on X, you should. If you'd like to email us, just be nice. Because we're nice. No, we really are. And of course, we'll post it on the BizTV YouTube channel. I got a few things to discuss off of the get-go. Some I like, some I don't like. And all have everything to do with you, the markets, your money, and all that crap. Artificial intelligence effect. You know, we're getting haircuts now in the market. We're getting haircuts in the market because of the potential of artificial intelligence. They murdered the software stocks. They were murdering it into last week, and they crashed them another 20% in days. In the past couple of days, they have bounced up. I keep saying, be careful of them bounces. I keep saying that because these stocks before last week's crash were already in bear markets. Software. And things I noticed today, Microsoft, for example, rallied up for a couple of days and was up another almost $10 today and finished down. Not everything else finished down today, but not thrilled. And I was reading up on why these software stocks were getting hit. And I must tell you, when it comes to technology, I'm somewhat of a doofus. I don't really understand how you take the place of these companies. I really don't. But the market believes it. And they've crumbled some names. And I'm worried, listen carefully, that the last 2 days and change were nothing more than oversold bounces, which are normal when you get stretched away to the downside. That is not a prediction. What we are saying is they're still in bear markets, notwithstanding bounces. They're still in downtrends, notwithstanding bounces. And if anything changes, we'll let you know. We also did not like, not thrilled, with the volume contracting as they bounced. That's software. Okie doke. Today, let's call it about, I'll give you the time. Let's call it about the 10 o'clock hour, late in the 10 o'clock hour. All of a sudden, I notice, first thing I noticed was Charles Schwab. Out of nowhere goes from flattish, down a little, to down $7, $8. And finished down $8 on the day, cracking all the good it did in the last weeks and breaking the 50-day. I notice Stiefel only finished down 5 to 125. Was down 9. Recovered some. I noticed Raymond James. And that finished down almost 9%, $15. Was on the verge of breaking out of range to the highs. And just croaked. I noticed LPL Financials down $32. At one time, was down 43. By the way, all on big volume. I noticed Ameriprise, the great Ameriprise, that also was on the verge of breaking out to new yearly highs, finishes down over 33, was down 40. You know what these companies do? They're brokerages. Morgan Stanley has an arm of brokerage, was down $4.50. It was down at one time 9. What happened out of nowhere with the brokerage stocks? What the heck's going on? Well, out of nowhere comes some news about AI. A broader sell-off. The sharp decline came after tech platform Altruist announced the launch of a new artificial intelligence-powered tax planning tool with something called its Hazel platform. The new capability allows financial advisors to create personalized tax strategies for clients by automatically analyzing tax forms, financial statements, and other documents within minutes. Market observers linked the financial stock sell-off to growing concerns that AI potentially disrupts to traditional financial services and their business models. The reaction follows similar AI-related sell-offs in software, and you already know about the insurance stocks and insurance sectors in recent days, which has me posing the question: what industry is going to be next? And am I going to be in it and get knocked for 10% before I can blink because somebody comes out with something? A valid question to ask, because they smoked the insurance stocks. They smoked the software stocks. And they smoked a bunch of the financial service stocks today. And may I state for the record, they went down very quickly, and they went down hard. Some better than others, others worse than others. My answer to all this is I do not know. I don't know what industry can be next. I do not know. I will tell you also, I got an email from somebody who says, Gary, I can tell you firsthand, people are getting fired and being replaced with artificial intelligence thingamabobs. I emailed them to send me specifics. They told me certain industries, same ones I'm talking about. What could be next? All I know is, for market players, be on your toes. It's not a reach for me to have to spend some time thinking about what could be next. By the way, they also hit the exchanges today, like the CBOE, the CME. The CME wasn't down that much. ICE was, the Intercontinental Exchange, and the NASDAQ, which is symbol NDAQ. Things to think about. Up next, the rest of the market, and much more to discuss. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. So the Dow was up 300 early, finished up 52. In the Dow today, Amgen was down 11 after going up 30 some odd bucks in 3 days on no growth. That did help today. After that, didn't see much else was down that much. Boeing $2, IBM $3, JP Morgan almost $4, Coke was $1, Nvidia was $1. By the way, Coke on earnings $1, whoopee. United Health $2, Walmart $2. What offset that? American Express was up 3.5. At one time today, though, American Express was up 10. Disney up a couple. Goldman finished up 5. At one time today, Goldman was up 18 and was also down 12. It was all over the map. Market followed it. Home Depot up 8 on a big drop in the 10-year yield today on very crappy retail numbers. 3M was up 3. Stock got hammered on earnings, and it's right back up. Sherwin-Williams, housing-related, up 4. Travelers up 5, bouncing. Visa up 3, whoopee-doo. Walmart pulled back $2, whatever. But the NASDAQ down 136 and the NASDAQ 100 down 140. And nothing really stood out except Microsoft up 10 and finishes flat to down. Don't want to see that off of a nascent rally. Semiconductors were down. What were they down today? 55, that's nothing. You got hit today in SanDisk and Seagate and Western Digital and some of those names. I'll call it a no biggie. But the NASDAQ and NASDAQ 100 are below the 50-day moving average still. Do remember that. Not helped by the software. And I will repeat what I said when the semis did fall. If the semis fall again, the NASDAQ and NASDAQ 100 are going to be in trouble. Advanced declines were not so bad today. Strength in housing and housing related because the 10-year yield dropped to 4.14. Hotels. Don't ask me why. Marriott reports a whopping 5% earnings growth and a 4% sales growth. And guidance was up $28 to $359, up 8.5%. And that means Hilton went along, was up 3%. Hyatt was up 6%. I believe Hilton and Hyatt report in the next 2 days. That was an amazing move for a Marriott. And you had some other reactions. Spotify up 60 today. But that stock's gone from 745 to 400. Ferrari up $27 today. That stock's gone from 520 down to 330. So be careful about the big moves in the bear markets. What else I got for you? Well, as you know, I have taken the president to task in the past. I want him to do well, but I think they're going to lose the election in November because of him. Unfortunately, not because of his policies. It's because of him. If I'm exhausted by him, what do you think most independents are? But when he does good policy, I praise. They did something today that I absolutely love. absolutely love. No, let me repeat. I absolutely love. Those that follow me know I've been saying forever that this climate change is a hoax and nothing but a gargantuan money grab. How do I know that? What makes me a genius on climate change? When you hear scientists going on TV and saying, it's for real. Well, I watch. I pay attention without an agenda, ulterior motive, or a bias. And when I see decades ago they told us we're morons if we do not believe them on global cooling. Do you remember that? There are front cover magazines on global cooling. And then it heated up around the globe. And somehow into the lexicon was no longer global cooling. All of a sudden it was global warming. And they, with the media, foisted onto us global warming without questioning what happened to global cooling. Anybody do that? And then what happens? You get a couple of years around the globe where it's freezing. They look like laughing stocks. And out of nowhere, in the lexicon, no longer is global warming, but climate change. Which tells us they got into a conference room with an advertising agency and a marketing company to come up with something that is less definitive and they can never be wrong. Climate change. Do you know, I saw somebody this week blaming the freeze around the United States. Climate change. Can't do global warming. That would be a mistake. It's freezing. Your handsome and buff toast just came from 5 degrees below zero. Wind chill in New York. My lips were falling off. And they tell us how big climate change is, while I'm telling you they're full of crap. They made it up to where if it's hot out, climate change. If there's fires in LA, climate change. If it's freezing in New York, climate change. I got news for you. I've been around a while. I heard somebody a couple of months ago say the hurricanes are a lot stronger than they used to be. He lied. I live in Florida. We had monster hurricanes 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 100,000 years ago. Up next, wait till you hear what the president did. I loved it. Up next on Investor's Edge. So, in the 1980s, Al Gore was on with Dan Rather, CBS, and saying that Florida would be underwater in 10 years. They don't play that video, do they? 20 years ago, he said we had 10 years or else. They don't play that video. They don't play a video or show a picture of Al Gore's net worth from all the climate companies he created out of thin air. No. Do you think anybody has interviewed Stacey Abrams and she got $2 billion from Joe Biden for a company she created out of thin air for climate and knows nothing about it? It's been all about the bucks, kids. That's all. Ask any scientist the question that the journalists don't ask. The question being, How do we stop hurricanes? How do we stop tornadoes? How do we make it less hot? How do we make it less cold? How do we do this? They don't have an answer. The next part of the equation, because they complain about going green and doing your share, taking care of the environment. Did you see the picture in Davos where they had the World Economic Forum? Did you see all the private jets lined up? That one flight on that private jet is like 5 years of your air conditioner. You think they give a crap about you? Do you think when Leo DiCaprio gets on TV and or goes and gets an award, the environmental award to Leo DiCaprio, as he gets on a private jet and then he's parading with his 25-year-old girlfriend, God bless him for that, on a 250-foot yacht that guzzles gas like there's no tomorrow? You think they care about you? Not a lick. The bottom line is they created bullcrap and got their friends in the media to parade it in front of you to make you believe that we can stop hurricanes and change the weather. You know what we can do is what we've been telling you forever. Let's all do our part. Do what we can. Companies do what they can. Businesses do what they can. And you know what's happened? They have. Cars are better these days. There's electric vehicles also. And so many other things going green. Without anybody sticking a fork up your you-know-what, making you do it. But something had to be done about something else. You may not know this, but the regulations they have foisted upon us, that has foisted tons of extra costs onto our backs by these wonderful human beings in Washington, D.C. that have made trillions of bucks for themselves. Well, a lot of these regulations are going by the wayside. After Biden was saying global warming, he actually used global warming, mistake, posed a clear and present danger to the United States. Well, this administration behind the scenes, we're doing everything to get rid of some of these stupid regulations. So your cars may be cheaper going forward, your gas may be cheaper going forward. How about that? Go back to a little bit of the norm while we continue to do what we can for the environment, which, by the way, is in great shape. In great shape. I travel the world. I've traveled the world. It's in great shape. Good on them. And do more. New York Times is having crap fits right now over it. And they can't come up with a reason why it's so bad to roll back some of the BS. Because they were part of the problem. We call it in the tank. Read up about it. Good on the president and the administration. And from me to you, we're going to be just fine. And less costly. We move on. Lawmakers are not going to support the ban on the idea from the president that big institutions should not be buying houses. As you know, I believe the president is an interventionist. He is not a free market person at all. He's not a conservative. I'd say it to his face. And I don't think he can argue it, even though he would. Anyway, That's good to hear. I don't care. Big, small business can be able to do whatever they want to do, and if they want to buy up 100 homes, so be it. And in case you don't know, that's demand. We like demand. Demand is a good thing. It's just like we told you that 50-year mortgage idea, that stupid, moronic, imbecilic idea from Pulte. That went by the wayside within a week. We told you on the first day how dumb that was. So the good news is some of these cockamamie ideas are going by the wayside. 50-year mortgage. I couldn't believe this guy Pulte, who's in the housing business, the son of the main guy. I could not believe this was his idea. The stupidest, most moronic idea in history, and he was doing it for affordability, and all it would have done is raise your cost infinitum. Notice the big word. So that's a little bit of news that affects you, potentially the markets, your money, and all that crap. Go read about what they did on the environment, and just so you know, the environmentalists right now are having heart attacks. They're going to say the end of the world's coming. We're going to let you know, no, it's not. The end of the world is not going to come. And just remember, you have a bunch of people out there that have been saying, in 10 years. You right? In 10 years? The Earth is 4.5 billion years old, and they have the grapefruits to tell you what's going to happen in 10 years? While they become about as wealthy can be? Anyway, you know where I stand. And I've stood this way forever while they become wealthy. Off our backs. And the scientists, just remember, they get grants up the wazoo from the government. You know what a grant is? It's something that doesn't have to get paid back, and you could get a nice darn salary out of that grant. Yes, I am claiming a bunch of the scientists are a bunch of creeps. And that is all for that. What else? I mentioned the housing. A weird day today. And again, I'm actually asking the question, what is AI going to affect next? If they can crash software stocks, crumble insurance stocks, and today go after the brokers, I'm thinking, what else can they do? If you have any ideas, email me. I'd like to hear what you think. Foreign markets remain stronger than ours. I don't know how long that'll last. Keep in mind, foreign markets are less liquid than our markets because they're a lot smaller. But leave no doubt, I'm looking at different countries. Man, there's been big move in Japan. Big move in Israel. Israel's been smoking. By the way, that symbol EIS. Turkey. Big move. And I never had to really invest in foreign markets because they weren't working that great. They are now. You know, it's not working, China. It's been pretty much dead as of recent. Up next, got a couple of more notes. Got to bring up. Just remember, they hate you. I'll explain. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. Da-da-da. So, let me just spend 2 minutes on one thing that directly has nothing to do with you and your money, but it does have something to do with your life, because these are the people that have brought us the $38 trillion of debt. You know what I'm talking about, right? Because they hate us. You know there's this line, the preamble for the Constitution, we the people? You do know that, right? You do know everybody in Washington, D.C. is supposed to be working for us. You do know that, right? Right? They work for us. It is we the people. We're supposed to have all the power. We're the ones that should be forcing the decisions, right? We the people. Have you seen what this administration has done and the past one with the Epstein files? You know, the Biden never even did squat. He knew about him. Now this administration is putting them out because they were forced to because of their own mouths. But do you see how they're holding them back? Do you see how they're redacting things? Do you see how they're protecting the mighty? You see that, right? Shouldn't we be forcing their asses? Who cares about the powerful? I couldn't give a crap who it is. I don't care if it's Trump, Bill Gates, the yuts from Britain. Actually, there's a couple of them. I don't care. If you're a worm, if you're a pedophile, go screw. Have you noticed? We can't find out anything. Have you noticed yesterday a bunch of congressmen or whatever, they went into a room without phones and got to read the stuff unredacted, but we didn't? What's the hell with that? We can't, but they can? What happened to we the people? They hate us. They laugh at us. We're nothings. We're a means to their ends. And when they don't have enough, they just go in more debt. That's the big one. Yeah, we don't have, let's go 38 trillion of debt. Anyway, just let you know. There's no doubt in my mind. They are hiding. They are praying this goes away. And there's no doubt in my mind he was murdered. How does anybody not believe when the guards were gone, the cameras didn't work, and the number one coroner in the world, Dr. Baden, swears it was not suicide. Yet the media drops it. Never to be repeated. We've been again abused and conned by the powerful. We the people has gone by the wayside. Every month now, 100 billion of our precious dollars goes towards interest on the debt that they created, and they don't give a crap. I don't know what's going to turn the tide. One would have hoped that Trump would turn the tide, but he's in the soup like everybody else. His Justice Department is a selective Justice Department. You know that. I don't need to tell you that. It's in plain sight. And the same was for Biden's Justice Department. They went after Trump with a fervor on bullcrap. I still remember one of the idiots saying Mar-a-Lago was priced bad. Mar-a-Lago was probably worth $500 million. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the Epstein thing. And yeah, it really does have something to do with everything because they're killing us. Think about that. How many days in a year? 365? $5 to $6 billion a day of debt created. And they don't give a crap. 5 to 6 billion every day. and they don't care. Our government spending and the size of government is up fourfold since 2000. They quadrupled the size of government since 2000. Just so you know. At least our stoplights are working. And then they voted a communist in New York City who can't even clean up the garbage and the snow, while he hires a bunch of frickin' anti-Semites. He hired an anti-Semite to fight anti-Semitism in one of his little thingamabobs in New York City. We move on. By the way, you all know I'm right. Big indices remain in range. The mids and smalls moved above a little range. Foreign markets better. NASDAQ and NASDAQ 100 still can't get out of their own way. The software stocks were affected by the AI and bounced for 3 days, but they may have hit the proverbial wall already. They hit the insurance stocks because of AI. They got the brokerages today. Whether or not that lasts, I have absolutely no idea. But we'll be on it. All that said, you'll have a great evening. Drive carefully. And when you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family and hug your children. They'll feel better. You will feel better, I promise. Stay well, be well. Have a great one, everybody. Peace out. Bye-bye.